Hello everyone, my name is Amy and I'm one of the peer tutors here at SNHU, and I am doing a recording of the workshop for Decoding Your Rubrics and Academic Support Resources for Psychology and Social Science students. For this workshop, this is what we're going to cover. We're going to talk about what the most important parts of the rubric are, what a hypothetical study is. We're going to focus a lot on the critical elements section of the rubric. We'll decode the rubric chart found at the end of your rubrics. I'll show you how to locate academic support and the learning communities, as well as show you where and how to make one-on-one appointments with either peer tutoring or writing coaches. Okay, in getting started, this first slide shows you the overview section of the rubric. Now, the overview section tends to be kind of a bulleted type of list situation, and it's usually just a broad overview of the assignment that you're going to be looking to do. It just kind of gets you thinking, with some ideas, some choices that you can think about for what you want to include in the assignment, stuff like that. It's definitely not as detailed, although it might look like it on this one, but there are other sections that I'll show you that will be a lot more detailed. Okay, now, not only is this a shot of the another overview section, but this is where it talks about the hypothetical study that I mentioned at the beginning of this workshop. The hypothetical study is basically, it's a fake study. So you're not actually going to be doing the study itself. You will just be coming up with a proposal for a hypothetical study. So as this says right here, you are not and should not be conducting human subjects research for this project. This is for Psych 224. This is the same for many different courses, actually, that have the hypothetical study. They'll all say this same spiel that you see here. Of course, if you were ever to do that kind of a thing, which, you're not encouraged to do because it is just a hypothetical situation, all human subject research requires written approval from the Institutional Review Board in order to protect the treatment of the subjects in the study. And that's going to be kind of across the board in any kind of study you do. But for the purpose of any of the hypothetical studies that you will do at SNHU, they are just that. They are a proposal to do a hypothetical study. You will not actually be performing it whatsoever. Okay, moving on with the rubric. Now, the prompt section, which you can see here, goes into a little bit more detail than the overview section did. The prompt section tends to house the area of the critical elements section that I referred to before. But the prompt basically does just what it says. It prompts you to really start thinking about it. So this gets a little bit more into the guts of what's going to be needed in the assignment. And like I said, further on down here, you'll see that usually the critical elements section is housed in the prompt section. Okay, so there's two things that I want you to see on this here slide. The first one is where the arrow is pointing. That is a template that is embedded. It's an embedded link or a hyperlink, depending on how you want to look at it. Usually, in all of the rubrics that SNHU has, if there are embedded or hyperlinks, they are colored this blue color so that they stand out and students are to readily view them. When you see these things, definitely click on them and check them out, see what they're all about. In the case of this one, it is actually a template that they want to use for the students that are in Psych 211. This is for their final project. Sometimes the embedded or hyperlinks can simply be articles that your instructor wants you to look at for the purpose of the assignment. But as you can see in this one, it is actually a template that they want you to use for the final project. Be sure to use it. Anytime that there is a template, it's usually not a suggestion, it's a requirement, okay? So definitely take the moment, a few moments to go through your rubrics, especially your final project ones, and see if there are any hyperlinks within them. And if they are, make sure that you investigate what they are so that you are aware of the additional information that you may need to use for any of the assignments. The second part that I want to point out to you here is the critical elements section. As you can see, it is definitely a lot more detailed than the other one was. It's got the bolded terms and concepts throughout. It's sectionized. I'm going to make that word up. If it's not a real word, it is now. It's definitely divided into different sections, though. As you can see, we've got the literature review and then a bunch of subsections under the literature review that kind of go into more detail of what should be in the literature review. And then it has the research design, where the students are going to have to identify a gap and determine a research design of their own, discuss ethics. These all have to fit under these categories. And then, of course, the last part is the conclusion, which, rounds everything up that was done in the rest of the critical elements areas. The critical elements section is just that. Think of it just as it is entitled. It is critical, and they need to be addressed, as it says there. This is where your instructors will grade your papers from, okay? So I suggest to all of the students that I tutor that you should always print this out. And as you go through, say, okay, you're working on the literature review part, you go on to part A, where you're summarizing the claims made by the authors. And, you're talking about how humans develop over their lifespan. If you feel like you did a good enough job on summarizing those claims by those authors, cross it off, move on to B. Carry on that way throughout all of the different sections. Once you've been able to cross all of them off, you can feel confident that you have done a good job in following the critical elements section. Okay? All right, and then this is one other part that I wanted to bring to your attention as well. Now, this is for Psych 224, but this does pertain to various classes, not just Psych. It fits into a lot of social science courses as well. If you see something like where the arrow is pointed, where it has introduction, and then it shows A, literature review, B, hypothesis, and then it has another section, methods, and then under that, methodology and data collection. This is a hint that this is how they want your paper to look. And in fact, this one actually says, your APA paper should include the following formatting. Each of the 3 sections should include the appropriate sections from the outline below. Okay? Sometimes they don't actually say this is so clearly like that, but if you tend to see this on one of your rubrics, then it's kind of a hint that that's how they want you to lay it out. Okay? Follow the rubric help whenever you can. Okay, and again, this is the critical elements. This is just another view of it from 224, whereas you can see, it's also broken out into the introduction, then it goes into the methods, and then down at the next page, it goes into the conclusion area. Okay, I don't have a slide for that, but that's basically what it does. So definitely follow those critical elements to a T, and you'll feel confident. Okay. Here's the rubric chart that I was referring to earlier. This assigns point value to all of the sections that are in the critical elements that we just looked at. Okay, so not only is the chart itself important because this is, you're going to want to shoot for that exemplary column, which is the second one to the left, on the far, second one from the far left, I should say. One thing I would like to say about the chart, it's kind of like a backup to what you have already done. If you printed out the critical elements section and you crossed everything off on there and feel confident, you can just come through here one last time and do kind of the same thing. So like start at the right where it says not evident and read what it says. If you feel like you did above and beyond what that says, because this says that you did not describe the problem experienced by the individuals, families, groups, or communities that the plan will attempt to improve. If you feel like, yes, I did explain that problem, cross it off, move to the left into the needs improvement section. Then if you feel like you did what that is calling for and maybe above and beyond, then see if you fit into the proficient column. If you feel like you fit into the proficient column, then by all means, see if you can either fit under that exemplary already or that you can attain that level, because definitely you want to be shooting for the exemplary column to get your full points. One other thing on this page that I want to draw your attention to is the top of the page where the arrow is pointing, and that is the guidelines for submission. This is where it also is always located, and it will tell you how many pages your assignment needs to be and what the layout is supposed to be. So for the purpose of this assignment, this is for Psych 108, they have a final project action plan that should be 3 to 4 pages in length. So 3, of course, is the minimum. 4 is not the maximum. You can go beyond 4. Don't worry about it if you do. And then it also says that the style is 12-point times New Roman font and double spacing. And then, of course, the research that has been chosen should be appropriately cited. And I'll show you places where you can get help with citations a little bit further into this workshop. But that is also one of the more important places on the rubric to pay attention to is the guidelines for submission. Okay? All right. Now, this is where you can find academic support. This screenshot that's on the left-hand side is from within your course. So say you're taking Psych 108. You go into your Psych 108 menu, you go up to the course menu, you click on it, then you click on Learning Modules. What you see on the right-hand side of the screen is where it takes you. It takes you to the list of all of your learning modules. What you see here is actually a graduate level course. So as you can see, it lists 10 modules out because the graduate courses have 10 modules. They're 10 weeks long, whereas the undergrad courses are 8 weeks long. So for you guys that are in the undergrad courses, you will find the academic support link at the end of week 8 or module 8. Regardless, it's always at the end of all of the learning modules. So when you click on the academic support link right there, it will then take you to this menu, which is the academic support area. In this area, you can do all kinds of things, and there's just a couple that you can see on the screen. The first one is you can upload a paper for written feedback from the Online Writing Center folks. Keep in mind that any papers that you do turn into them, like if you wanted to turn in your final project paper for feedback before you turn it in for good, it can take up to 48 hours for them to turn around and get you the feedback. So definitely keep that in mind. And at the bottom of the screen there, you can see schedule a workshop or a one-on-one appointment. Just take note, you don't ever have to schedule a workshop, but you do have to schedule one-on-one appointments. So if you see workshops that you want to go to, you can just go to those. You do not have to sign up for them. But you do have to make appointments for peer tutoring and for working one-on-one with a writing coach. Okay? All right, and then also where you didn't see on the bottom of that last screen, there's also help that you can get to Smart Thinking and NetTutor. These are outside sources. They're not actually part of SNHU. They're outside vendors, and they can help with course-specific stuff like, as you can see on this screen, a lot of IT stuff, a lot of math stuff. If you're taking any of those kind of courses, go out there and take a look at what they offer, and that is, another way for you to get help if you need to, okay? All right, so a few final things that I want to say about the rubrics, and then I'm going to show you how to get to a couple places quick. Don't overthink the rubrics, okay? That's part of the problem, is that they are lengthy, and a lot of people, because of the wordiness of them, they tend to overthink them and think that they're not doing it correctly because there's just so much information, okay? Don't overthink it. Focus on those critical elements, cross them off as you go, like I discussed, and then look at that final project rubric chart backwards to make sure that you touched on everything. Those really are the three major things to make you feel confident that you did a good job on it, okay? All right, now I'm going to switch gears here, and I'm going to share my screen and show you guys how to get to academic support in a different way, not through your actual course, okay? So let me go to where I need to be. So I'm going to go to just my main My SNHU page, okay? This is how you guys get to your emails. This is how you can get to Shapiro Library. If you haven't used Shapiro, I would definitely say get in there and check it out, because you're going to become very familiar with that. All right, now if you scroll all the way to the bottom of the screen, you can see the academic support tile right there. Click on that, and it will take you to the learning communities. Now these are all area specific. As you can see, there's all of the different areas that we offer learning communities in. For the purpose of this workshop, we're going to go into the social science one. This is where social science and psych folks, human services, poli-sci, criminal justice, all that kind of thing. Everybody from those areas likes to hang out here. This is kind of a Facebook kind of layout, but it's for SNHU. And as you can see, there are people reaching out to, meet with and hook up with other people that might be in the same courses as them. Feel free to get out there and post something and hook up with some peers of your own. What we're going to pay attention to here is a couple of different things. We're going to go over three things here real quick. First off, I want to show you the workshop calendar. You can click on the workshop calendar, and it will take you to all of the different areas that we offer workshops in. And as you can see, there's plenty. But for the purpose of this workshop, yet again, we'll go to the social science and psych area. So you guys can see all of the different workshops that are available. So we've got these for SES 100, SES 200, for the grad level courses of stats, this one that we're doing right here, and I'll stop here because I want to show you this too. So for any other workshops, like if you're taking Psych 224 and you thought, hey, I want to go to this Lit Review one, when you see that it's September 11th, you can go to it right here. They give you a link that will take you directly to the workshop room, and you don't even have to do anything else. It just takes you right there. What it also shows here is recorded lessons. This recorded lesson button will take you to a YouTube channel that will have any and all of the workshop recordings that fit under this area, okay? So that's what I wanted to show you for the workshops. Now I want to show you how to get to Appointment Plus, which is the program that we use to make appointments with either peer tutors or with writing coaches. Now, if you haven't set up an account already, you'll have to create an account right here, as you can see. I already have one, so I'll just log in and show you what it looks like. Okay? Now, one thing that I will point out real quick before I forget, When you make appointments and with workshops, everything is in Eastern Standard Time. So definitely take note of that. So all of the workshops, all of the peer tutoring sessions, and all of those sessions with writing coaches will all be sent to you in Eastern Standard Time. Okay? So for the purpose of this, we're going to choose peer tutoring. We're going to pretend like we're going to book me for an appointment. So you hit peer tutoring and it refreshes. Then you come here and you can say, I'm going to do a psych peer tutoring session, and it will refresh again. Then you're able to select a coach. Now, if you don't know the coaches, if you haven't worked with a certain coach before, then you can just do this no preference, and it will pull up dates and times for all of the tutors that are in this area. But if you are familiar with one of us, then you can just click on whoever it is that you're familiar with, and it will take you directly to their schedule. So this is my schedule. We're going to go forward to September because August is pretty much done as of now. And then it'll show you these are the dates that I currently have some time open. Now, as you can see, it looks like, oh my gosh, she's booked out for the whole month of September. That's really not the case. Here is what it is. Appointments are visible only 10 days in advance. So these are just too far out to be opened up yet. But for the ones that are opened up, you can click on them. It will take you to the times that are available. So you can see on September 3rd, there isn't anything left, but there's one left on Wednesday, and then there's 3 left on Saturday at these times that are over here on the left. Once you pick your time, you just have to put in some information about yourself, what course you're taking, and finalize it. And once you finalize it, it will send you an email that will tell you the time, again, in Eastern, and then it will also give you a link to my or your peer tutor's Adobe Connect room so that you will have the direct link to that tutor's or coach's room. Okay, so that is how you would do booking any of the appointments for one-on-one sessions. And then last but not least, like I said, we'll talk a little bit here about the research and citation. Let me go back here. Oh, that's not what I wanted. Hold on, I'm in the wrong place. Back up. All right. When you click on it, it will take you here, citing your sources. And this is a really helpful page if you're not familiar with citations, either APA, MLA, Chicago, any of the different styles that are out there. For psych and social science, you're always going to do the APA. That's just the law. It's the psych social science law. So if you need help in that, you can click in that, and it will bring up some other menus here. It'll give you some in-text citation examples. It'll give you the reference list examples, so on and so forth. It's really, really helpful. All right, now, one other thing from here that I want to point out is the Writing Center. You can go directly to their learning community. Theirs is in a different place, so that's how you get to their writing community. So this is just like, or the learning community. Theirs is just like the other one. It's just specialized for just the Online Writing Center folks, okay? So you can go in there and you can ask some coaches questions on there. You can also chat with a writing coach. These are specific hours that they offer these hours. So when you click on here, it'll tell you whether or not they're there. As you can see here, here's all of their hours that they're available. So keep in mind that if you have a quick 1 or 2 questions, you can come here and ask them when they're available. Other than that, you can upload your paper, book an appointment, or find other resources right here. Or here's another one where you can actually just book the appointment with one of the writing coaches. Okay, so that's where you can find all of that really helpful information. All right, that is really all there was to it. If you guys ever had any additional questions, you can always, hang on a second, I'm trying to get back to my screen. You can always reach out to Peer Tutoring and ask us questions, or you can reach out to anybody at the Online Writing Center as well to ask any questions. But hopefully this has been helpful for you, and I wish everybody